Cinemajaw is brought to you by Know Your Company. Got 25 to 75 people in your company? Then check out knowyourcompany.com. Software that helps companies like Airbnb know their company better. And we thank them for their support. And by the Midwest Game Nerds Podcast. Ever wish you had a Cinemajaw-like podcast that was about video games? Look no further than the Midwest Game Nerds Podcast. Each episode talks about the latest and greatest in video games across all platforms. Whether it's VR, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, PC, mobile, you get the idea. The Midwest Game Nerds Podcast discusses it all. Tune in live on every other Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on Twitch TV /Midwest Game Nerds, or find their episodes on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or at MidwestGameNerds.com. And we thank them for their support.
And by Cinemajaw's favorite musician, Sarantos, is back with a fresh new music video called Return to Your First Love. Check out all his music and music videos at melogia.com. That is MELOGIA.com. And we thank him for his support.
You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location this week at the Cards Against Humanity studio. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting alongside us, as always, our engineer and local filmmaker, Elias Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we get one piece of a puzzle and try to connect it to another piece of the puzzle as we solve something grander in scale as we cover our top 5 favorite puzzle movies.
The puzzle is, why is Rye the Movie Guy such a jerk?
That would be a tough puzzle to solve, I think.
Yeah.
I had a difficult childhood, Matt.
Yeah. Did you ever do those puzzles like with your aunt where, you know, like, or your great aunt, my grandmother, or something like that? That's what I did. You throw like a million pieces on the table, like, you know, those really big jigsaw puzzles?
Yes.
I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
Were you good at jigsaw puzzles? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always decent.
Find the corner.
They were fun. But we are covering puzzle movies, and it's sort of open into interpretation. But I think right when you say puzzle movies, people get what we're not talking about documentaries on jigsaw puzzles. We're talking about movies.
Oh, really? Because I got to redo my list now.
We're talking about movies where us, the audience, along with usually the characters in the film, are trying to piece together some type of mystery, some type of puzzle in the film.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing this list because we have a great guest who's going to be joining us.
We do. We have Sandor Weisz from the Mystery League, puzzle designer, and he's going to be joining us to talk all about that stuff.
Can't wait to talk to Sandy. Very interesting guest for sure. And I just can't wait to hear about how he does all these puzzles, which is going to be absolutely awesome over at Mystery League. So very excited to talk to Sandy. Besides that, we have a whole lot more going on, don't we, Elias?
Oh, yes. We're going to do a 360 and go eye for an eye on The Circle.
And we have a review of Free Fire. And hey, Ryan, didn't you get to talk to the director?
I sure did. I got to talk to Ben Wheatley, who directed Free Fire. So we have that interview for the Jawheads as well.
Very nice.
Real cool guy. As Elias mentioned, we are going eye for an eye on The Circle, which stars Tom Hanks. His co-star in here is Emma Watson. So I thought, what a great time, Matt, for you to take Sandy on in Tom Hanks co-star movie trivia.
Okay.
All right. Think of all the co-stars Tom Hanks has had.
All right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw this. There's another movie coming out. You had to search for it. It's called Unforgettable.
Oh,
and
no.
It stars this actress named, what was her name? Catherine Heigl.
Stop it.
Yes.
Just stop it. Stop pretending like you don't know who Catherine Heigl is.
I can't believe that
it's offensive.
What are you talking about? I can't even believe that she still has a movie coming out. Her career is absolutely done.
She's a cinema darling. You're out of your mind.
You think she can make a comeback?
Comeback? She never went anywhere.
Oh, dude, she's done. She's in the grave.
CinemaWAR.
Ooh, Sandy's going to have his hands full judging that one.
Oh, yes, he is.
So without further ado, we bring in our guest. As Matt mentioned, Sandy makes puzzles over at Mystery League, and I am very excited to hear about these puzzles because they take place all around the world, in the natural world. Sandy Weisz, welcome to Cinemajaw.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Very exciting to have you, man. I always like to take it, all the way from the beginning. So, what got you into puzzles? It's a very esoteric occupation.
That's true. Well, let's start with what got me into puzzles as a fan of puzzles, which was, I don't know, I was introduced to it from childhood. I lived in a house that subscribed to Games Magazine, and that was always around, and that was always...
I didn't even know there was a Games
You don't
magazine.
remember Games Magazine? It's still around.
I mean, I had Nintendo Power, but I missed this. Yeah.
I think I had Nintendo Power too.
That
I certainly had a Nintendo. But Games Magazine is still around. It's mostly founded on its fundamental unit of puzzle is word puzzles, crossword puzzles, and stuff like that. At least it was back then. But they also had other kinds of things like logic puzzles and picture puzzles and whatever. But it was a magazine, a monthly magazine of puzzles. It folded for a while, came back I think in the 90s, and it's still around, and it's still pretty good. But my dad was really into this kind of stuff, and he introduced me. And then he would put on puzzle events for me. So my 10th birthday was a puzzle hunt, similar to the things I do now, that he designed and he
wrote.
Are
these sort of like scavenger hunts?
No.
I mean, what kind of game?
I mean, canonically,
lost.
Scavenger hunts are you're given a list of items and you have to go find them.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple as that. They could be photos, but they're not. There's no deduction involved. Puzzle hunts are like mystery stories. You have puzzles and clues that lead to answers.
Okay.
I mean, you ever done a murder mystery party?
I have, but mine was a big letdown. Unfortunately.
Did the wrong person get murdered?
No. I wanted to be more involved in trying to solve the case.
Yeah.
And it was more of a rushed thing. And that was actually one of my questions later on for you too.
Was this something out of a box, or was it like a hosted event?
This was a hosted event.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, you remember those boxed games, How to Host a Murder? Where you could stage a murder mystery in your own house, and then there would be like a game around it with your friends, right? It was like that, but my dad wrote the whole thing. Like, he wrote dossiers on all the characters who were played by adults, and me and my 10-year-old friends would solve it. And I remember it very fondly. And then recently I stumbled across the actual documentation that he wrote, and the dossiers that the adults had to read and absorb were like 20 pages long.
Oh,
wow. It was absurd, and it was insane. And I can't imagine that we actually ever solved the thing at the time.
But you did.
I don't know. I don't remember. I was 10. But
what an awesome dad.
Right?
Yeah.
But that led me, that encouraged me. And then I went to summer camp, and I would put on events for my co-campers there. Like we'd make little games and stuff. And my fondness for puzzles lasted through teenage years, lasted through college, lasted through my 20s, but I never really thought that I had enough skill to put on something of my own. I was just afraid of what it would, like, I didn't know how to do it. I wanted to do it. I would watch like movies like, well, I don't want to spoil this because it might be on my list. Okay. So maybe I shouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I would watch movies, and I would read stories about people putting on events like puzzle hunts, and I would want to do it. And finally, when I turned 30, I said, I'll do it. I'll just send out the invitations, and I'll have to do it. And so I did that 5 weeks before my birthday, and then I sent out invitations before even knowing what I was going to do. And then that was my first hunt. It was, it was 5 weeks in the making. It was on my 30th birthday, and it was an absolute hot mess.
It didn't go well?
It went horribly.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's so many things that I did wrong, but the one thing I did right was to just do it. And by doing it, I was able to get it out of my system. And then the next year for my birthday, I did it a lot better. And it was still bad, but it was way better. And then the third year I did it, and finally we got to a point that it was good enough that someone could actually solve it. The first 2 years that did not happen.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got to better and better. And by 8 or 9 years, I realized I think I can maybe make a career out of this. And so I turned it into a business.
That's why when you hear Woody Allen's famous quote of 90% of success is just showing up, it means you have to try, you have to do it, or you can't sit there and complain about not being successful. So, so getting started, is very great to get that first step out. But when we're talking about these puzzles, there was a movie, I've only brought it up, I think, one time on Cinemajaw. I believe it's called Midnight Madness. And I again, I don't want to spoil anybody's list, but I had talked about how I know Michael J. Fox was in this movie, and there were teams, and it was somewhat of a scavenger hunt film. And that when I was reading your bio and getting an idea of Mystery League and these puzzles, the idea I had was that it has some element of a scavenger hunt. When you're doing these puzzles, people are moving around and finding, I guess, maybe not the next clue, but the next puzzle.
So in Midnight Madness, which is the canonical puzzle hunt film, which is what I was going to mention, but I didn't want to spoil. And in in other games of that genre, the convention is that the answer to one puzzle will lead you to the location of the next.
Right.
And the first year I did the puzzle hunt, that's what I did. What I quickly realized is that that offers some very hard logistical truths, which is if you want multiple teams to be doing it at once, you don't want them all to be at the same puzzle at the same time. You want them to be, shifted around. And if that's the case, then how do you design it so that they're going in? Basically, you have to design it so they're going in like a circle, which is possible, but it requires some logistical difficulties. The second thing is that it really limits what your puzzles can be. Like your puzzles, if they have to solve to the location, to a specific location name, there's only so many location names that are available to you, and so you have to design your puzzles around these very tight constraints. And the third thing is it's guessable. Like if you're in a space, there's only so many places you're going to be sent. You can sort of back solve some of the puzzles if you know that your next answer is going to be like the name of a business on Lincoln Avenue, right?
Right.
So I don't do that. What I do is I give the locations up front, and I tell the players this is where all the puzzles are going to be, and then when you get there, your answer is typically within a category, like it's a name of a fictional character or it's a type of food. You know that, but it's a big enough category that there's no way to back solve it. And then you use all of your answers that you've collected over the course of the game at the very end as input into a final meta puzzle. And that meta puzzle is the final event. And this is how most puzzle hunts go.
Right. And when you started this company, what happened is what you're gearing it towards is like companies, businesses, groups. You get them to come out and participate in sort of extra activity.
Right. The industry name for this is team building, which is kind of corny.
Corporate gigs.
But you know what? They all have teams and they all want them to be friendlier with each other, and this is what I do, right? So most of the time you have a team and you want to go do something, give something fun back to your employees, and you take them out to a whirly ball or a bar, or I don't know, what'd you guys do?
Strip clubs.
Yeah.
I mean,
whirly
here on
ball.
Cinemajaw.
And bars. That's
and
exactly
there's nothing wrong with whirly ball. I love whirly ball, but you can only do it so many times before someone gets injured. So my proposition is, here's something that is fun and is also requires you to use your brain.
Yeah, and it really is team building.
And it really is, because you're actually getting to express some skills that you might have that you never get to do, never get to show off while you're at work, right? Your job might be, even if it's very wide ranging, in the skills you need, you probably don't need to do like puzzle solving. And so you might be really good at puzzle solving in your own time. Now you can bring that to the table and show off to all your coworkers.
That's pretty neat.
That is
what I was hoping that Sandy would come up with some type of puzzle that we could do. The Cinemajaw team, you know what I mean?
I've done plenty of movie puzzles. If you give me a minute, I might be able to pull some together.
It might be a good extra feature at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Now I'm excited, man.
Yeah. So for the Jawheads listening to this, and we have a lot of them in Chicago, particularly, what's the best place online to find out more if they want to participate? Maybe they're working for a company and they want to nudge their boss and say, "Hey, we want to do this."
Absolutely. Is this the time when I get to pitch?
Yes.
Okay.
Pitch.
Quick pitch. MysteryLeague.com, MysteryLeague. And it gives you all sorts of information in there about how to get in touch with me, the kinds of games that I offer. I do sometimes put on public events. If you don't have a company that's willing to do this and you want to just get engaged in puzzles on your own, I sometimes put on my own events that I sell tickets to. There's nothing like that currently for sale, but if you subscribe to my mailing list, which you can do on the website, you'll know about that. My latest game is something called Creatures on the Loose, which is a briefcase escape room game, which basically means, you know what an escape room is?
Yes, those things are fascinating, by the way.
So I built one of those last year with the House Theater Company. It was like a part theater, part interactive puzzle experience, and it was amazing. It was called The Last Defender. I don't want to pitch that too much because it's not currently available. It's not currently live, but we hope to bring it back. But my inspiration from that was to build a puzzle room, like an escape room that I could take to a company. And so this game is, everything is contained within a single briefcase. I put the briefcase down on a table, 8 people per team. 8 people sit in front of this briefcase. First job is to crack it open, and then once they get inside, there's all sorts of artifacts inside that they put together and solve puzzles and get to the end. And it's about 2 hours long, and it's like an escape room in that you have a bunch of stuff that you don't know what to do with, solving puzzles to get to the end of the storyline. But what's great about it is 5-6 teams can do it concurrently and sort of have a race to see who's going to finish first. Whereas like an escape room, only 8, 12, 15 people can do it at once. And this is like 50 people.
Sure. That's awesome.
That is cool.
As I mentioned, I went to one mystery murder dinner thing, and it was out in the suburbs here in Chicago, and it was at like an estate. And when we pulled up, I was all game for this. I thought, wow, this is going to be really neat. But they really dropped the ball. It wasn't all that exciting. And when I hear your ideas here with Mystery League, I think, God, that idea with bringing people out to like a house somewhere, almost if we could get him with the haunted house guy.
John LaFlamboy?
Yeah, so we get John LaFlamboy and we get Sandy together. And what a mixture we would have here.
Well, there are a lot of
right.
There's a rise. So escape rooms, as you know, are on the rise. More and more appear every day. Haunted houses are now in the mix. So there are these haunted houses that exist that are not just scares. They are puzzle routes through the haunted house.
Right. That's what I want to do. And
he's a guy you should meet for sure.
Okay.
And let's get involved also, because this is a $1 million idea. We don't want to just match them up and never talk to them again. This is
we get a percentage is what he's trying to say, I think.
You get a commission.
Yeah. But definitely. And what about yourself on Twitter and all that good stuff?
PZLR is my company handle on Twitter, and on Instagram it's Mystery League. And Facebook, it's search for Mystery League. You'll find it. There's another Mystery League out there that is fighting me for handles on social media. They are like a ghost hunting group. So I'm not even angry about it. I mean, I can't be angry. They were around before me, but I didn't feel like there's a competition in terms of like trademark, but it's frustrating to not be able to get all the Mystery League handles out there. So if you encounter a ghost hunting group, that's not me.
All right. The puzzle guy. That's him.
That's me.
That's
yes,
Sandy.
I like it. Now, we like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues. Get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Mm-hmm. Elias, what do you got this week?
Yes, so if you can have a puzzle set in any famous movie location, where would it be and why?
Oh, that's tough. How about the world of Labyrinth?
Oh, well.
The Bog of Eternal Stench?
Sure. Or, yeah. I can't name anything from that movie besides the rhyme that David. I don't even know his character name, but
throw it in the jar box.
No,
oh, you know it?
It's Jareth the Goblin King.
Oh, you know it.
Jareth.
Yeah, Jareth.
Okay. I adored that movie as a kid.
Clearly, so did I.
Yeah.
You got something else?
No, that's all I got. I would say it would be fun to do one in the Life Aquatic submarine. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, anything Wes Anderson. Or the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hotel. That would be awesome.
I changed my answer.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
The hotel setting, I wish we could just all go there and
Shining.
podcast from there.
The Shining. There we go.
Man, there's some good ones.
Yeah, the Overlook. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so Sandy is sitting in on this entire job. We got an expert when we're talking puzzle movies, Matt.
Absolutely.
Did we not step up to the plate and get the best puzzle expert here in Chicago? It brings us to a segment called Eye for an Eye.
Yes, eye for an eye. Interested or ignore? The Circle. A woman lands a dream job at a powerful tech company called The Circle, only to uncover an evil agenda that will affect the lives of her friends, family, and that of humanity. The film stars Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, and John Boyega, and is directed by James Ponsoldt, who has previously directed The End of the Tour and The Spectacular Now. We throw it over to Rye.
Maybe on paper, I think we've maybe seen something a little bit similar to this, where somebody works for a company. It's an evil company with this tech giant, and we're getting more and more into this. So we're seeing this topic come up more. But it's Tom Hanks. Emma Watson, I like her taking on this particular role. I'm interested. And I like what this director's done before, The Spectacular Now and The End of the Tour. I loved both those films. So, and I believe he did the movie Smashed also with Aaron Paul when he was a recovering alcoholic. So I'm on board with everything this guy does. So interested. Matt?
Sweet. Listen, you've got Harry Potter, you've got Star Wars, and you've got Tom Hanks. How the hell could you not be interested in this movie? Apple going ballistic? I mean, that's basically what it is. It's about an Apple-like company with an evil agenda. Totally cool.
Sandy, interested or ignore?
Well, originally I've not been interested in this up until a few seconds ago. I was not interested. I've heard about this movie. I knew about the book, which I never read. I saw the previews for the movie, and I honestly, criticizing Facebook, I feel like it's more of a Facebook parallel. Criticizing Facebook for being evil feels like a very easy target. Like, what are you really saying here? It's not such a scandalous proposition. So it felt like a tired premise. However, I did not know that the director was also the director of End of the Tour and Spectacular Now, which are both fantastic movies.
Yes, they are.
And I think if you've got that kind of track record, then you deserve to have a little bit of at least the benefit of the doubt. So I'm edging slightly on interest.
This is why we still do Eye for an Eye, is to inform the listeners of everything about the film. So I'm glad that you realize now that the director is doing it. 3 interest as we throw to Elias.
I think this might be the 3rd week in a row where I go opposite 3 unanimous.
What?
Yeah.
Going against Emma Watson?
The trailer made me really confused. I didn't really get what they were trying to go for right away, and so ignore. Also, the boyhood actor should not be able to act in anything. For one thing, his name's Eller Coltrane. Figure out your facial hair, dude.
Wow. What about Emma Watson's American accent? I thought she kind of nailed it.
And John Boyega.
True. Yeah, we'll see exactly how good that accent is when we see the entire film. It's tough to judge.
Who's the guy that plays Tom Hanks' right-hand man in the movie? Because I was really intrigued by who they cast for that.
Maybe that's that Coltrane.
Yeah.
possibly.
That's Emma Watson's boyfriend.
Oh, is that who that is in the film?
It's
Patton Oswalt.
That's right. That's what it was. I was like, oh, wait. Okay, so they're doing something very creative by casting Patton Oswalt.
I'm interested in that as well because I like Patton.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in Young Adult and he did a wonderful job in that movie. So I'm all game
Going
for that.
for like a Jonah Hill thing, comedic actor in a
little
serious
bit more
role.
serious. Yeah, I like it. So, all right, 3 interesteds, 1 ignore for The Circle. But again, it's coming from Elias Rodriguez.
Yes, he's like the contrarian lately.
Mr. Opposite on everything.
Also, just give it you haven't seen the movie. Is this?
It's just eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Interest or ignore. There's many a times I give an ignore, and we have screenings. I know I'm going to see the movie, so I give it an ignore, and then I come back and I give it a good review. So it's just for fun before we've seen the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 3 interesteds, 1 ignore. Matt, speaking of new movies, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, Cillian Murphy, late 1970s, an arms deal gone wrong, and a shootout that is over an hour long. What is not to like? I checked out Free Fire to see just how much fun it is.
You're on a different level now. The guy who represents this merchandise, his lawn is bigger than your whole f***ing country.
Justine, as gorgeous as ever. Well, you've put on a bit of weight.
F*** off.
Check out the merch.
That's not what he ordered.
Really?
We ordered M16s, different weapon.
I'm not running a fucking pizza delivery service.
Keep your shit together.
You want the weapons or you don't want the weapons?
Here we go.
Director Ben Wheatley has been making a name for himself, writing, directing, and editing his films, such as the 2015 movie High Rise. Free Fire is his biggest movie to date, and that is mainly because of the large, talented cast. The plot description is easy. 3 parties who do not trust or like each other come together to make an arms deal in an abandoned warehouse. The buying party is led by Cillian Murphy, who is an Irishman buying guns for the IRA. The selling party is led by Charlton Copley, and the middle party, the 2 people who are bringing them together, Brie Larson and Armie Hammer. The deal seems to be going as planned until one person on the selling team recognizes a person on the buying team. The 2 men do not like each other, and the anger escalates to gunfire. Once one person is shot, retaliation ensues until it is a full-fledged free-for-all. What makes this work is the wonderful characters each of the main actors play. By far, the funniest is Copley, who plays a flamboyant gun seller who thinks way too highly of himself. This may just be his best role to date, Matt. As the bullets start to fly, the laughs start to come. The tone of the movie here is perfect. Dark comedy done right. The story plays out in real time as well, so I have to applaud Wheatley for directing and editing a film that is very easy to keep track of. And with multiple parties spread out all over a large warehouse, harder to do than some may think. Free Fire is a very fun, not too complicated trip to the theater. It is worth checking it out just for the fun characters alone. I recommend.
That's great. So what was your favorite scene of this?
Favorite scene, and I don't want to spoil exactly who I'm speaking about, but One character dies near the end of the film.
Oh no, someone dies.
But the death is gruesome yet hilarious with this particular character. Laugh out loud funny.
Wow.
Loved it.
Nice. Any scene you had trouble with?
This movie, the runtime, throw it in the jaw box because I didn't look at it, but I got to say it's under 90 minutes. It's probably like hour and 25.
Okay.
It's nice and tight. So there's not one scene that really lacked. I mean, it gets into the gunplay within 15 minutes of the movie.
So it wasn't like, because I said interested or ignore last week, that it seems like a really long short film that might drag.
It doesn't. No, because it didn't overstay its welcome. It gets right to the fun, and it's fun for that hour and 15 minutes, and it ends. I would say that the beginning actually felt maybe a little rushed. So if I had an issue, it might be getting to the actual moment of them, playing with the guns. But that would be the only issue that I had with it.
Any movie influences?
One of your favorite movies from last year, Matt, was The Other Guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that it just rang a bell. I think it's because they're both set in the 1970s and both going for that dark humor. And you remember like when you were laughing along with the other guys, there's that moment where somebody gets hit by a car or somebody dies and you actually laugh out loud. The violence becomes humorous.
That's like the Bugs Bunny thing.
Right. And that's what happens here. So I think The Other Guys for me.
Oh, nice. Did you learn anything from this movie?
Yeah. What I learned here, Matt, was when you make a big arms deal and you're buying guns, make sure that you're getting bullets with the guns.
Good tip, right?
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yep.
What would your movie poster quote be?
My movie poster quote would be, "A loaded cast with loaded guns. It's a fun ride."
Ooh.
I could see that on a poster.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got to work on that last one.
A
a loaded cast with loaded guns, and then you need a gun pun there.
A loaded movie. A loaded.
Go ahead, Sandy. You got something?
Well, loaded has sort of can have a negative connotation. Can it be?
Yeah.
I don't have anything off.
But armed and dangerous. No. Locked and loaded. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Damn it. All right. Well,
it was almost there. It was like 2 out of 3.
I am giving this one 3 jaws. And what was cool was we were able, I was anyways, to sit down with the director, Ben Wheatley, and thought this would be an enjoyable interview for the Jawheads as I got to ask him a little bit more about Free Fire. Here you go.
Ben, thanks for coming on Cinemajaw here. I really enjoyed Free Fire, and I wanted to start with the casting, which I thought was terrific. When you were writing this film, did you have some of these actors in mind already?
Yeah, Cillian Murphy and Michael Smiley, those 2 roles were written specifically for them at the time. But everyone else was a bit more of a blank page. But then as it came towards the casting, I think we reached out to Armie Hammer because Amy Jump and I just really liked him, having seen Lone Ranger. So we just thought that would be an interesting bit of casting. And then after that, a lot of the people had come on from being suggested by agents and kind of all popping up on lists and stuff.
Sure. And Brie Larson was one of the last to join the cast then?
No, she was kind of mid. There was like 3 groups really. And she came in the middle. But this is all before Room. Room had only just been finished shooting, so it was a long time. We'd already edited and finished Free Fire by the time she won the Oscar.
Oh, I see. Now the film plays out basically in real time with characters spread out all over the warehouse. How did you go about staging and I guess like blocking and keeping track of where everyone was?
Yeah, it was just really complicated. So we kind of had to do a lot of storyboarding and a lot of planning and building of models and thinking, and then quick run-throughs and yeah, I mean, there was the thing of it being in real time is always a worry because you could make a mistake in the first week and not really know about it until week 6 because you were shooting in chronological order as well. So it was, that side of it I was really conscious of. So there was a ton of planning went into it.
Yeah, I almost envisioned maybe almost using like a model of keeping track where all the characters were at some point,
Yeah, there was models and all sorts of stuff built.
Yeah, sure. Now, being a man of all trades, you also edited the film, which you edit all your films. It seems natural for a film that's running in real time, as we mentioned. Was it ever discussed to have someone else edit? Was that ever on the table, or was you always planning to edit the film?
I've always edited this. I've had the sole editing credit since Field in England, and it's that kind of discussion has kind of ended these days. I mean, I might do in the future have other editors on for when the films get a bit bigger, just because of the sheer weight of time and effort that needs to be put into it, and that it's kind of when you can't set up other projects while you're editing, at the same time, it's all consuming. So, but on this one, this is just always going to be me and Amy doing it.
Yeah, well, it came out wonderful. As far as many gunshots that were in this movie, it was not overly violent of a film. Was that intentional?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because maybe it was the humor, but, if you go see a movie sort of like maybe like a John Wick 2 that has quite the amount of gunshots.
Yeah, I think it's a tonal thing because it's as graphic probably. I mean, I saw John Wick 2 yesterday, and I think the thing about that makes it different is that there's something more, I don't know, it's like more vicious almost, it's like there's a way that he's doing it which seems to be, because he's never looking back and he's killing so many people one after the other that it feels, the violence of that feels different from the violence of people who know each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then this is no criticism on John Wick either, because it was a great movie, and I really enjoyed it and enjoyed the first one as well. But there's a difference there, and I think maybe it's the difference of. I think also it's the amount of violence and the amount of people he fights is different. There's only a finite amount of people in the room, so it's not. And I tried not to do the thing of when you have the karate movies where people are fighting for 10 minutes, battering the hell out of each other, and you just think you wouldn't. You'd have to go into intensive care or lie down in the bed for about 6 months after a fight like that because you'd be so quick, So that kind of that level of violence isn't in there. But also what's missing from this that is in other movies is it's not as sadistic as some stuff is, and I think it's the sadism and the torture and the screaming and all that which kind of makes you feel more uncomfortable. This is more like it's aggressive, but it's not. There's no torture in it.
Sure. And speaking of movie shootouts, was there a favorite of yours that sort of helped influence Free Fire?
I guess, starting with the Wild Bunch and then moving through Alfredo Garcia and then the kind of through Taxi Driver, the end of Taxi Driver, and then into the kind of John Woo stuff like Hard Boiled. I think there's that tradition of like Normal Speed and over crank cameras I've always really liked.
Sure.
But I guess what a gunfight that had the most impact was probably the toss up between Taxi Driver and Wild Bunch.
Gotcha. A great soundtrack in Free Fire as well, and in particular, wonderful use of a John Denver song. Were you involved in selecting the songs that were used?
Yeah, I always do that. Yeah. So, I mean, that was written in from the beginning of the very first draft of the script. It would be Annie's song, and I like Annie's song. I don't do it ironically. It's the kind of I only put music in the films I make that I like, and I listen to regularly. So, and it just reminds me a lot about my parents and kind of the 70s and. I mean, it's just such a sweet song, but it's a sad song, and that's what the film is. It's kind of, it's funny, but it's sad at the same time.
Sure. And how many days shoot was it? Was it sort of a short shoot?
Yeah, 6 weeks, 6-day weeks. So it's pretty quick for an action movie.
Yeah, no doubt. And watching it, when you see movies such of this caliber, where you have so many different characters and parties playing along, did the ending change at all as you guys sort of went along, or how difficult was it to write that kind of perfect ending?
No, it was always there. I mean, I think it would be very hard. It'd be very hard to change something like that because it's in the bones of the plot. It's like that Justine's journey through the film is within the first moments of the film is defined, conversations with Chris at the beginning when he asked her if she's FBI and she goes, no, I'm in it for myself, and she is,
Mm-hmm.
and she's the center of the whole film, the whole structure and the plot pivots around her decisions and stuff. I like to think of her as Ripley from Alien, but also the alien at the same time, you know.
Sure.
She killed more people than anybody in the film.
And was she your favorite character? I think this is a film that when people go see, they're going to latch on to certain characters and really love them. Was she your favorite, or did you have one in particular?
Well, it's a difficult one to talk about when it's an ensemble piece, you know, and they'll all read the press, so the actors will get fucked off if I say there's one particular favourite, you know. But I think for me, it's having said that, I'd say that Steve-O, Sam Riley's character, is my favourite because he's just an agent of chaos, you know, and like what I like about that character is that did he actually do any of the things they said he did? I don't know if he did, you know, and I think he just likes to wind people up and likes to let it go, and that kind of energy I kind of like.
For sure. So can you tell us what's next? Because after seeing Free Fire, I know a lot of people are going to be excited to hear what you're working on next.
Well, next up is Freak Shift, which is the sci-fi film I've been trying to get off the ground for the last 5 or 6 years. So, which is a kind of action-based, like day and the night of a group of special police that go out in this town to clear up monsters that attack at night. And they have to do it every night. And we find out on this one night there's a particular monster is there that has killed one of the police character's family, and that this character has to track it down and destroy it once and for all. So it's kind of it's a bit like Hill Street Blues. It's a bit like the video game Doom. It's a bit like Aliens, and it's a bit like a kind of throwback to 50s.
Oh, nice.
Horror monster movie.
Yeah. Did the era of Free Fire being shot, was that always the plan? I love the look of the film.
Yeah, I mean, it always was because of the plot, you know, because of the IRA were getting guns from America in the 70s, late 70s, so it kind of wouldn't have worked as it had been now. And also mobile phones totally screw anything like that. You know, you can't, you know, the film would have been about 5 minutes long if they had normal cell phones on them.
So true. Well, I just want to say congratulations again. I love the film, and I hope everybody gets out there and sees it.
Oh, me too. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Wow, his next movie about monsters, it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be right up your alley.
I love monsters.
He was a great guy to talk to, and hopefully we get more of those interviews going forward.
For sure.
Insightful. Interesting, too, that he had cast Brie Larson before she had won the Oscar. I thought that was pretty neat. So, and then you get an Oscar winner in your movie. So it all played out pretty well for him. So pretty
That's
neat.
how that goes sometimes.
Yeah. So, no major puzzle inside Free Fire, okay, to solve. It is just strictly fun. But that is our topic this week because we are sitting here with Sandy Weisz of Mystery League. Sandy, you are our guest. You're getting us started this week. Before we even get started on your number 5, and we're going round robin here, your number 5, before you get there, was this list difficult for you to come up with?
It was difficult because I had to first decide what I thought a puzzle movie was. What did you mean? Because you I assume intentionally was very vague about the instruction.
Indeed.
Puzzle movie, interpret it as you want.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I have to first decide what I want. And here's what I decided. Here are my rules. I love a good mind movie, but I didn't want to do that because those are I think those are different than puzzle movies, right? I think of those movies as plots where the director is intentionally withholding information from you to screw with your mind, right? He's not telling you everything about the world so he can reveal at the end. And it's usually fair, or the good ones are fair, but I don't think of those as puzzles. I think of those as just a good trip. I tried to stay away from mainly character-driven movies just because those exist for the higher purpose is to tell you something about the people or see how they change. And that's not a very strict rule, but it helped me narrow down what I was talking about. Most of the stuff that I chose, and I had more than 5, but I'm not going to try not to cheat.
We'll have room for some honorable mentions at the end.
Oh, we do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
cool. They were not. They were, I don't know. It's hard because, and of course, like you said, I didn't want to do just puzzle movies about puzzles. Like there's a documentary called Wordplay, which is all about crossword puzzle solvers.
See, I think that's fair. I think
It's
I would have
fair.
given that
I
to
just
you.
didn't want to do it. I just wanted to be about, and I even think documentaries are fine. There were a few that crossed my mind. When I was
Oh,
thinking
now
about
I'm
it.
thinking about some documentaries here. I might have to edit my list.
Yeah, but I guess I stuck with fiction.
Okay, so what do you
All
got
right.
sitting at
and,
number
and
5?
by the way, I want to call this list the Midnight Madness honorary list because
Nice.
it's just so easy of a pick.
Right.
It is
we
the one
actually
movie,
do that often.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the one movie that is about puzzle hunts.
Right, but I know there are a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are probably younger and have not seen Midnight Madness. And I know I've brought it up
Right.
on Cinemajaw, and people weren't sure what it was. If you haven't seen it, Jawheads, rent it. It's great.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's bad, but it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's a fun bad.
It's a very fun bad. And you'll see Michael J. Fox in his first movie credited as Michael Fox, by the way.
Enough said right
All
there.
right.
So what's your number 5,
My
Sandy?
number 5 is Arrival. Because, I love this movie as a movie. I love this movie as just an experience, just like as a bowl you over kind of emotional experience. But at its heart is a couple of characters, specifically Louise, the main character, who's trying to deduce a puzzle, a linguistic puzzle.
Played by Amy Adams.
Played by Amy Adams. At the heart of this movie is a woman trying to decrypt a foreign language. And if you put that as the plot description, I don't think many people would go see it, right? They want to go see the aliens, and that's fair, right? And of course the production design and the score and everything else that adds to it makes it just a superb movie. But at its core, it is about that. And so I think for that reason, it allows you as the viewer, and this was my main criteria, it allows you as the viewer to move along, to experience the struggle of the protagonist in the solving of a puzzle, and that does it really well.
That's good. I like that pick.
I do too.
I've now watched Arrival a second time, and it's easily climbing up the ladder. It's one of those, even on a second watch, I think it was more beautiful than the first.
I'm in the middle of the book. I'm reading it's a short story. I'm reading the short story right now, and it's fascinating to see how it's different, but it is also very much a puzzle about linguistics.
Is it in English, or you got to learn a different language to?
It's funny because in the movie,
Do they show the glyphs in the book?
Right. So no, they don't. And in the movie, it's very easy to understand how she's confused because you can see the glyphs, and you're like, how would I read that? The book has to describe a written script to you in a way that makes it clear why it's confusing, and it's very compelling how he does it. So it's called The Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang.
Wow, good pick at number 5, Arrival. Matt, what do you got?
At number 5, I have. Well, first of all, I just want to say this.
Oh yeah, your list.
Yeah, my list. I don't think I gave myself as strict of rules as you did, Sandy.
Well, I had to narrow it down. That's the only reason I gave myself rules.
Fair. And you think about puzzles like all day, probably almost every day.
Certainly.
Sure. So I think mine are a little bit more run-of-the-mill. That said, these are some amazing films, at least in my opinion. This one is certainly no exception. And I wonder how many of these are going to have to do with time travel, because even Arrival, not to spoil anything, but there is an element of time travel within, arguably.
I don't think you're wrong to assume that about our lists.
Okay. Donnie Darko is sitting at number 5 for me.
Nice.
I do think this is one, it's obviously very character driven, so I'm not following Sandy's rules, but it is one that's not just an intentional mindfuck, and it has something you need to figure out throughout the movie, like the identity of the rabbit and exactly how he's traveling through time. He gets this book that gives clues to a mystery that sort of unfolds as to what happened that night and what's going to happen next. So I found it very enjoyable from that point of view. It's like a mystery for the viewer to go through and solve, and it's a great ride. Early work from Jake Gyllenhaal when he was just still like a sort of a throwaway teenage heartthrob. People didn't think much of him yet. Now he's like...
Both Gyllenhaals.
True.
Double Gyllenhaal.
You get Gyllenhaal in stereo in this movie. Still haven't seen what I need to from Maggie to put her up on the same pedestal as Jake.
She's getting there, though. She's done a lot.
That's a hot take. I like her better than Jake.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In what?
Secretary.
Yeah. All right.
She was phenomenal. And he's been good. Like Prisoners. He was really good in that. He's been really good lately. But anyway, Donnie Darko, I didn't put mainly because I don't really think there's a solution to that puzzle. Like, I don't think...
Too open-ended for you.
It's very open. I love the movie. I'm not
you
saying
get a
it's
payoff. You find out exactly what happened.
I don't know. Do you? 100%?
I think you do. You find out who the bunny is. There's limited payoff.
Yeah.
But not just one solution. Maybe you're right.
Okay. Nice at number 5. My list, I'll say, I actually wrote down my top 5, and they were all some element of time travel, and I didn't like that because I was like, God, we've done time travel movies. I'm really being weak, and I wanted to think. I'll allow myself to have one, maybe two, but I wanted to think a little bit harder. So that was how I came up with my list. And I came away with, at number 5, a film David Fincher directed, 1997, Michael Douglas and Sean Penn in The Game. And this is Sean Penn and Michael Douglas as brothers. And on one of their 48th birthday, it's Michael Douglas's character turning 48. Sean Penn buys him a ticket to The Game by CSR, which stands for, did not write it down, CRS. Don't know what it means, but he writes it at CRS. Throw it in the jaw box. What CRS means in The Game. But he buys it at this company, and Michael Douglas goes there, and they find out that it doesn't exist. But what happens is at that point, his whole life then starts to crumble, and he starts to believe that maybe the CRS is trying to swindle all his money away from him, and all this weird stuff starts to happen. It's great if you haven't seen it. I don't know how well it would live up because I haven't seen it in many years, but at the time I saw it,
it holds up.
And yeah, and
I saw it last year.
Wonderfully.
It's a great choice. It almost made my list. I think it qualifies as one of those things where you're following along with the protagonist. You have the same information as he does, and he's trying to solve a puzzle, and you're trying to solve it with him. There are real organizations like that. There are companies that really will kidnap you and create this alternate reality for you as an individual.
One of them is called the Mystery League.
Don't give it all away. But I mean, like an alternate reality that only you live in, which is what happens. Theoretically, is what is happening in the movie.
In The Game, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's my number 5. This was a good round right here.
Yeah,
Sandy, we're into our 4s. What do you got?
All right, for number 4, I'm picking Cloak and Dagger.
Oh, nice! I love this movie, dude.
This movie also really holds up. I showed it to my son last year, so he's 7, almost 8 now. So he was probably just turning 7 when I showed it to him.
That's dark.
Yeah, it is dark.
That's probably when I saw it too.
Yeah, I think me too. I mean, let's find out what year it came out because I couldn't. It's sometime in the 80s, but I couldn't peg it.
Cloak and Dagger.
And so Cloak and Dagger is a story of a young boy who gets he's into video games, and he gets handed this video game in a mysterious circumstance, and being told that there's a conspiracy theory about real murders taking place, and there's data on this video game this cartridge that's going to reveal it, and no one believes him. Right. And what's great about the movie, but he pursues it, right? This 10-year-old kid pursues the story to see, because he really believes that he encountered someone and everyone else thinks he's making it up. And it stars Dabney Coleman as the mysterious agent. And then the young boy is the kid from E.T., which name I can't remember.
Boy, it escapes me now, too.
I think
Throw
it
that
is.
in the job.
I hope that's really the boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's great about it, it's an unreliable...
Who the boy is in Cloak and Dagger.
It's an unreliable narrator story, which is really, if done right, is really enjoyable because you don't know if you can... He's presented as the protagonist. He's presented as the empathetic character. You don't know if you can trust him or not. And you really want to, right? But you're pushed throughout the entire movie to hold on to that belief that he's telling the truth. And I don't want to spoil it if he is or isn't.
Well, his imagination is pretty much... Dabney Coleman plays dual roles. He's also the dad.
You're right.
And his imagination is pretty much presented as like minor psychosis. Like you don't know if he's hallucinating,
right,
or if this is just his imagination where he sees Jack Flack.
Right. So good.
Running around. Dude, I love that movie. It is... Have you seen it yet,
I have
Ryan?
not seen it.
No. It holds up.
Does it? I've never seen it.
I say it as someone who saw it originally. Mm-hmm. Some of these movies, they don't hold up if you've never seen it.
Right.
But you should.
You
I'm
definitely
check it
should.
out. I'll put that one on the queue. Matt, what do you got sitting at 4?
At number 4, okay, so Darren Aronofsky was going to appear on this list. It's just a matter of which film. Because I honestly think many of his films, if not all of them, to some degree or another, are puzzle movies. But I went with Pi, which is his seminal work, right? His earliest stuff. I think that was his first feature.
Should have been number 3 on your list, not 4.
It should have been number 3 because it's Pi 3.14. Yes, well done. I love this movie. It's the protagonist is trying to figure out the name of God through this math
spoiler
theory. No, is that a spoiler?
No, I'm saying don't tell us what it is.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, do they actually tell the name of...
I don't.
And this is another one where it's not necessarily about the solution as much as the journey he's going through. It's about puzzles. It's about math, especially math puzzles like games like Go and chess and stuff like that. and him trying to find out this answer. And really, the number pi does not play a big role in the film.
Right.
But anyway,
I love
great work from Aronofsky.
It sure is. I agree. There's another one that he did that isn't one of his more popular films that is an honorable mention of mine. Didn't quite make my number 5. At my number 4, here's my time travel movie. It is, looking over my list, I did narrow it down to only one time travel movie. And again, we've done that topic on Cinemajaw, so that's why I was being so stingent on that. Came out in 2011, but I really think it is a puzzle movie directed by Duncan Jones, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, who's getting a lot of praise on this show. I'm speaking of Source Code.
Great choice. It's on my short list.
Yeah, and this is obviously where Jake Gyllenhaal is traveling back in time, 8 minutes to be exact. He keeps getting onto a train through this device called the Source Code, and the train is headed to Chicago, and it is about to blow up, and he has 8 minutes to figure out who is responsible to solve the mystery. And each time he makes that trip into the source code, he finds out a little bit more each time around, and that's the puzzle solving.
And wouldn't you know it, he falls in love along the way.
But what's interesting too is there's another puzzle going on, and that's the puzzle of what's happening in reality when he's not in the source code. Who is he's a U.S. Marine captain, I believe that is there, they say. So you're starting to find out the backstory of what's actually happening in reality to Gyllenhaal's character who's traveling through the source code. So there's really 2 puzzles to solve in this movie.
He's not himself on the train.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is the actor, but when he looks in the mirror, it's
right.
He realizes.
And there's that eerie ending where they go to Millennium Park and they look at the bean. Cloudgate is the official name for you non-Chicagoans out there. They look at Cloudgate, and the reflection is not Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's like, whoa, this was weird, you know. Yeah.
Oh.
But Source Code, I loved it.
It's an underrated film, which it shouldn't be because Duncan Jones has done excellent work consistently,
except for Warcraft.
Oh, did he make that?
Yes.
I saw that movie over someone's shoulder on a plane. So it was
sorry.
Silent.
I'm sorry for both of you.
It was the best one to watch. You made that movie?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He even did the publicity tour, but yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. That was my number 4. Now we're into our 3s. These are some good ones. What do you got sitting there, Sandy?
Okay. This is too good. It breaks the rules a little bit. It's too good to pass up. Groundhog Day.
Very source code-esque.
It is. It's about time travel, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It is about a puzzle, kind of. I mean, it is more of a human story.
The puzzle of love.
Well, originally, though, I mean, to start, it isn't presented as that way, right? Ultimately, yes. But at the beginning, he's like, holy crap, I'm stuck in this thing. There's got to be a way out. What is the way out? What is the purpose? It gives the viewer the exact right feeling of like being stuck in a mystery and trying to figure out the rules of the game so that you can break out of the mystery, right? Mm-hmm. That's what he's trying to do. Now, ultimately, the rules involve becoming a better human being, which is, you know, a good lesson in, for us all. But,
sure.
But for most of the movie, it's about like, you know, trying to explore the world that he's in and trying to understand the parameters of the rules that he's in. Can he die? Can he die in any way that he wants? Will he always come back? What changes? What does he remember? All these things. And of course, it's just without any of those qualifiers, a fantastic, funny movie.
It sure is. Bill Murray at his best, right?
I think so.
Up near there.
Is that Bill Murray's best?
I'm obviously always lean towards
Zuzu.
Lost in Translation.
Oh.
But I do love Groundhog Day. It's top 3.
Absolutely. I'd say it's his best. I'd put it right at number 1. Best Bill Murray.
All right, man. What do you got sitting at 3?
All right. At number 3, here's where I'm subbing one out because you gave me a fantastic idea when you said documentary, and I love documentaries. I had Old Boy, which I think that could definitely be a number 3 on this list.
That was my number 6.
So I'm gonna sub it out. I think it belongs at number 6, perhaps.
Okay.
The Institute.
Ah.
Man, I love this movie.
I love this movie. And there's a lot of documentaries you could probably make a case for Exit Through the Gift Shop or Swordfish or one of those. Sorry, maybe on somebody's list.
No, but those are good choices.
Very good choices. But The Institute was good. It kind of falls apart a little bit at the end, maybe, depending on your point of view. But the movie itself...
It falls apart.
See, but what they did in San Francisco... That alternate or augmented reality game was real. That all really happened.
Yeah. But the documentary of the reality is less of a reality than the reality.
And I get that they were going for making the documentary part of the continuing story, and it maybe wasn't completely successful, but it's fascinating.
Yeah.
very audacious.
It's a great choice.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting too because we had the director of the Institute on the show, and so it was pretty. We watched it. I liked it, but I didn't get nearly wrapped up into it as much as Matt did. It didn't connect with me nearly as much.
I'm the same way.
So,
yeah. I thought it's a good experiment.
It's okay,
but it's a good
I love that
choice.
stuff.
It's a good choice for the list.
All right, swings it over to my number 3, and we've already talked about Arrival, and then you had mentioned Prisoners, both directed by Denis Villeneuve, I believe is how you say it. And I'm going with his 2013 effort, Enemy. Also with Jake Gyllenhaal. What the hell is going on here?
Well, that director loves his Jake Gyllenhaal.
There you go. And this is the one where Jake Gyllenhaal plays a guy named Adam, who's a college professor, who actually is watching a movie. A friend recommends, I think it's a colleague, recommends him to watch this movie. And while he's watching the movie, he sees himself in the film, and it's basically a doppelganger of himself. And he goes and seeks this guy out, whose name is Anthony. And sure enough, it is literally, right to the toe, his doppelganger. They even lift up a shirt, look at a scar that he has, and his twin that he's looking at, this guy, has the same exact scar. And things start to get twisted at that point, and Anthony believes that Adam impregnated his wife, and he wants revenge. And the ending is open to interpretation, but again, as we're going along, our protagonist is putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. If you haven't seen Enemy, because it's a smaller film, do yourself a favor. I think you'll love it. Have you seen this one?
Nope.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
It's on my queue.
It is?
I haven't. No, it's on my queue because of all the pedigree involved.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Sounds great.
It's awesome.
It's just not come up.
Yeah. See if it's streaming. Enemy. I believe it's on Netflix. I believe.
But look it up.
Throw it in the job box. That was my number 3. Here we are into our 2s. No crossovers. I like this, guys. Sandy?
We'll see. We'll see if it continues. My number 2, Edge of Tomorrow.
Honorable mention of mine. Nice.
Okay, so is there any better movie is there any movie that better evokes the feeling of playing a video game? This is exactly that, right? It's where you have infinite lives, but you need to improve every time you die based on what you've learned, right? And
it's like Mario Brothers. He's right.
It's another Groundhog Day one. Right?
Yeah, Groundhog Day, but Groundhog Day predates the popularity of video games. I don't think that was necessarily an influence for the filmmakers. This one clearly is based. It must be, right? It is so perfectly evokes. And for me, video games, and I don't play a lot of them, but when I do play them, it is because they evoke the same kinds of feelings as with solving puzzles, right? You have a set of rules laid out for you, you have a world laid out for you, and you have to solve. You have to understand the parameters of the world so that you can get to the solution. And Edge of Tomorrow, I think, is the movie that most accurately and perfectly evokes that. And then on top of that, it's just a fantastic movie. It's just really fun, right? And the acting is stellar.
And you know what was so funny is I remember we were all so down on that movie before it came out. I think
it was poorly marketed.
They even changed the title of it.
Yeah, and it just seemed like, haven't we seen this before out of Tom Cruise? Like, we weren't sure exactly what it was, but we all thought we knew. And I remember we had a screening for it. We came out of it, me and Matt did, and we're like, whoa, that was 100 times better than I ever thought it was going to be. Yeah. And I have only seen it that one time, and Same. I've been wanting to go back and watch it again. So great one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. Matt?
All right. At number 2, this is another time travel film. I always Google the movie just so I have some facts in front of me, and that it's a puzzle and a complex movie when the first image that pops up in Google Images is actually an infographic of how.
Oh, I know what movie you're gonna do.
Yeah, this is Shane Carruth's inaugural film, Primer. And so, countless films have treated time travel, and we all just mentioned a few in over the course of doing this list. I don't think any film has treated time travel quite as intelligently and in such a complex way as Primer.
And realistically. Like, it's the only time travel movie where you're like, okay, that could be. Not scientifically, but like, I don't know, existentially. It just feels like it's possible the way they've explained it.
Yeah.
I go to Primer as my number 1 movie of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's not on my list because it was for a long time on my list, but I didn't want it to, like, ultimately I had to define my rules and I took it off because I don't really think it applied. But it's, yeah, I can't say anything wrong with it. I can't say anything bad about that movie.
How does it break your rules, though? It's not character driven. It
No.
does give you an answer at the end, so you get to solve the puzzle.
Because I don't think that the characters are necessarily solving a puzzle. They're certainly They're certainly engineers, and engineering is all about, you know, problem solving for sure. But I don't think they see it as a puzzle. They just see it as a scientific experiment. But not to say there's anything wrong with the movie.
But there is a puzzle from the viewer's standpoint as you're watching these characters, and oh my God, like, this is a movie you're going to have to, I mean, at least me, and I like to think I'm at least a little bit smart, a very little bit. It took me like 3 times I've watched this movie, and I'm still like, okay, I'm starting to get how it works.
Have you gone down the rabbit hole of researching online forums about what happens in the movie? Have you?
No, but I'm going to. There's infographics.
Don't do it. It'll just take over your life. So I saw this for the first time in the theaters, and then when I saw it with I wanted to show my wife. She hadn't seen it, so we watched it, and then we had the DVD, and then we watched it immediately after.
Oh yeah, it's
we
one
watched
of those
it again with the director commentary on, and then we watched it.
Did that help?
No, and then immediately watched it a third time, and she went to bed, and I kept watching it, and I started to coalesce a theory about what was happening, right? And I felt really good about it. And then I went online, and like everyone was saying
they pooped all over your theory.
I didn't post anything, but they were like, it was complete antithetical to what I was thinking about the movie, and it made me like really question my own existence. But it's fantastic.
It's the kind of movie.
It really is. I mean, I remember it was recommended to us on Cinemajaw, I believe, by Joe Avella, of all people,
way back in the day.
Way back. And I remember I was like, oh, I'll check it out. It sounded pretty interesting. But I mean, this is coming from Joe Avella, and you know, it's not a shot at him, but you know, he's not like giving me movie recommendations in the past. Let's see what it is. I watched it, and yeah, probably like everybody, you know, just blew my socks off. I was like, what the heck was this? I got to watch it again. I watched it not necessarily right away, but within 10 days, I watched it a second time. Like, God, it's like a masterpiece. I mean,
it is a masterpiece.
Really
I'm gonna challenge you, Elias, about the budget. I'm going to say $25,000. I think is how low it is.
Throw it in the job
I think
box.
I'm right within an order of magnitude.
Yeah, I know we did sort of independent sci-fi films, a list on the show, and Primer was my number one.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think that's what we were covering with Joe.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah.
I think you're wrong on that, but okay.
Could be.
Swings it over to my number 2, and I think you could look at a lot of film noirs as being all kinds of puzzle movies. That's their whole premise. Is you got a guy that gets involved into a world that he doesn't really know, or he's some type of detective and he's trying to solve this case, and the audience goes along with them. Now, an easier pick would have been Chinatown, but I wanted to shed some light on the 2005 high school neo-noir film directed by Rian Johnson, Brick.
You love this one.
I do. And I haven't talked about it in a long time.
It's been a while.
It really gave us an adult Joseph Gordon-Levitt, because we had only been known from that TV show, The Third Rock from the Sun. And what makes this really puzzle-solving too is that these characters in this world, he plays a high school kid named Brendan, whose girlfriend, it's actually his ex-girlfriend, gives him a phone call, and while she's on the phone, it ends abruptly and she goes missing. And then he is like basically a detective who dives into this world that she was talking to these certain characters that had to do with drugs and so forth. And the characters all have a language that is this slang that they use, that when you're watching the movie, if you have not seen Brick, the first time you watch it, you really don't know what they're talking about.
Right. So you have to solve the puzzle of the way their language works.
Yes. Right. So the first thing is to learn the language of this movie. And I remember I had recommended it to a friend, and I remember him starting it at home, and he literally texted me 15 minutes in. He's like, don't have a clue what is being said. Should I just stop this movie? And I texted him back. I said, no, that is the joy. Just keep watching it. Trust your instincts. You'll start to solve this thing. And it plays out like a wonderful puzzle. I love Brick.
That's a fantastic choice. I regret not thinking and even considering that, because exactly for that reason. It is. I left off mystery stories, right? I left off crime thrillers and crime mysteries because there's just too many to consider, and I thought, well, I'll just be able to I'll wipe them out by saying those are protagonists that are, it's not happening to them, right? They're like detectives on the case, right? So Brick qualifies under that, but it is such a good movie, and because of that extra layer of, as an audience member, you have to figure out something about the format of the movie, which is so weird but fun. Yeah. Good choice.
And now we got Rian Johnson getting ready to give us episode 8 in Star
And
Wars.
9, right?
Oh. Just 8. I don't know who's doing 9.
Oh, okay.
It's not Rian Johnson, though.
Okay.
So
Jawbox.
throw in the Jawbox. Yeah. That was my number 2. Here we are, our number 1.
No crossovers yet.
No, number 1 favorite puzzle movie.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sandy.
I don't know how I could not go with Memento.
Absolutely.
This is also one of my favorites. I have not seen it in a very long time. 2001, I saw it in at a film festival in March. I knew nothing about it, and it just blew my mind. Story of a guy who's got amnesia, and you see in forward motion the story of him trying to solve the mystery. I don't even really remember the details of the
who
mystery.
murdered his wife.
That's what I thought. But okay, who murdered his wife? But at the same time, threaded throughout the movie is another parallel movie with him as a character. I don't want to reveal exactly how it's different, because I think that's a bit of a spoiler, but there's this other that plays with time in a fun way. So you as a viewer are going along with this guy who, as a protagonist, is perfect as a solver of a mystery because he has no memory. So what better characteristic can you have in a character than one who can't remember anything, right? To be confused, to evoke this feeling of confusion. So you're going along with him trying to solve this mystery because and empathize with him because he can't remember the details of it. And at the same time, you're being led in to the facts slowly by the director, by the writer, in this other very clever way. And it's such a good payoff at the end. Such a good film. Great acting, great directing. Memento, number 1.
Or is it a good payoff at the beginning?
Yeah. Well, let me guess. You have Benjamin Button as your number 1.
I actually told Matt don't have Memento as your number 1.
That's our honorary
Matt
list.
brings it up a lot. It comes up on the podcast a lot. So yeah,
But I did get Aronofsky on there.
What do you mean? He didn't do that anyways. That's Nolan.
Oh yeah, it's Christopher Nolan.
Oh yeah, I should have said Christopher Nolan.
Yep.
All right, guys. Here's one where I think maybe this pick is a little pedestrian, and I did not ignore crime as you did, Sandy. But this is, I think, when you're talking about mysteries, it's become the cliche almost movie that you think about. I think at least, pretty much pops right into your mind. The Usual Suspects. It's a great movie, and I don't know if it's. Yes, we're trying to figure out, the viewer is trying to figure out the mystery as we go along. I don't think it's necessarily possible, but the reveal at the end has become a cinematic cliche when the coffee mug shatters. It's a meme now, right? I mean, what's red at the bottom of a coffee cup leads to this revelation wherein the cop who is interrogating this guy sort of finds something out. And I'm not spoiling anything, at least
What's
I hope
your
not.
rule on spoilers? Like, is there a statute of limitations, or is it just you try to be as respectful as possible?
We try to be as respectful as possible.
But this one you can spoil, man.
All right, I mean,
It's
he's
fine.
Kaiser Sose, right? Everybody knows that. I mean, that name is almost synonymous with somebody who can put one over on the entire world. He's the greatest con man of all time and master of disguise. And it was just presented in a way that it was very plausible that that's how the events unfolded. So I enjoyed that.
I
quite a
considered
bit.
it, and I rejected it because the detective. Yes, the detective is
He's the mark.
He's the mark, and he's also the one that's solving the puzzle. But he's not really the protagonist of the movie.
No.
Right? Verbal Kint is the protagonist of the movie, and so for him, there's no puzzle, right? But I don't want to disregard how great of a movie it is. I mean, it's become cliche to say it is great. It is everyone's favorite movie. But at the time, remember when it came out and you saw it and you're like, I didn't know they could do this with movies.
Nobody saw that twist coming at all.
Great one. Swings it over to my number 1. And I decided that I'm not going to announce my number 1. I'm going to leave it as a puzzle for the listeners. No.
That actually would have been cool. Yeah.
Give us a quote.
Yeah, here we go. No, my number 1, I wanted to go something that I hadn't talked about a lot. And I can't even remember if I've ever brought this film up on Cinemajaw. It came out in 2004. The director on it is Brad Anderson. Christian Bale is in this movie, and he dropped down to a weight of 120 pounds to play the machinist. And the puzzle here is that our character here, Trevor, who Christian Bale plays, is a machinist working at a factory, and he is clearly has something wrong. And I guess that's that's more or less the main thing of what we're trying to solve as the viewer is what's wrong with him. He goes to this plant and he sees a person that no one else sees, and there's an accident and somebody gets hurt and he blames it on this person, Ivan. No one else knows who it is. Is he just hallucinating? What's going on? And there's slowly flashbacks of something that happened in Christian Bale's, before the movie took place, in his past, and it's led him to this point. And what I like about this movie, much like I liked about Shutter Island, that is an honorable mention of mine, is that it's a mystery to solve, and that when you do solve the mystery, the payoff is worthy of that. Sometimes, as you were saying, Sandy, it's just a mind fuck, right? Where it's just like, whoa, oh, what the heck is this? And then sometimes the payoff is like, wow, that is deep, because it's really powerful and meaning. And that's what The Machinist, once it comes to fruition of exactly what has transpired and what has caused Christian Bale's character to suffer and be in the mood that he's in, and the state of mind that he's in, once that reveal is out, it makes the movie so much deeper. If you haven't seen The Machinist, it's well worth the spin. I don't know if you guys have
never seen it.
Still haven't either.
Yeah, it's a great
I didn't
one.
even know it was that like a mystery movie.
Yeah.
I just thought it was about a guy who's really skinny.
He just
Same
didn't want to
here.
eat any food.
He just ate
no.
an apple
Why
every
is
day,
he so
that's it.
skinny? That's the mystery.
Oh, okay.
And you do start to find out why
He's got
he
an
is.
eating disorder. I don't know.
No.
I mean, it's really not that big of
He
a
wants to
mystery.
look more like Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, that is not. You guys got to see The
All right.
Machinist to solve the mystery.
Now
of
I want
why
to.
he's like it.
I didn't want to yesterday, but now I do.
There you go. That was my number one. Let's go with some honorable mentions. We were doing research for this list, and a movie kept popping up that I had never seen or heard of called Mr. Nobody.
Me too.
So
I
watched
put it on my list.
I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it yesterday.
Is it good?
It's good. It's not worthy of a top 5 list, but yeah, it's definitely a mystery film for sure. Also, I had, believe it or not, the Da Vinci Code. I don't think the film obviously
It didn't deliver.
not as quite as great as the book was. I remember reading the book and just being in awe. 12 Monkeys,
Yeah.
Shutter Island, I mentioned, The Prestige, Looper, and just at number 6, but I've talked about it a few times on here, Dark City, which I love.
That's a good one.
And John Cusack in Identity. Pretty good one.
That's an okay movie.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is.
It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Sandy, how about some honorable?
A lot of things that have been said actually. Inside Man is it's a crime story, but what's lovely about this movie
This is the Jodie Foster movie.
I'd put her like 4th or 5th. I
Yeah.
mean, it's Denzel Washington and Clive Owen,
directed by Spike Lee. Okay, it's the guy. Yeah.
Bank heist movie. What's brilliant about it, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, I'll just say the ending is unusual for a heist movie or a crime movie or a puzzle movie. It's just unusual the way it's handled. And it's a very fun way. And then it's just got all these Spike Lee affects that are really, really fun. I love that movie. Time Crimes. Have you seen this?
No.
It's a Spanish movie.
I've seen Time Cop. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So Time Crimes is a small movie. It's called Chrono Crimes, or probably something else that's more Spanish sounding. And it's about for the first third of the movie, you're watching this and you're like, is this a plot? Like nothing is happening that makes sense. It's just weird things that are not sequential. Like there's no causality for the actions. Why am I watching this? You're about to turn it off, and then suddenly it becomes about time travel in a very freaky, very mind-bendy way. I don't want to spoil too much.
Piqued my interest.
It's an easy movie to watch. It's like probably very short. It's probably on Netflix because it's a very low budget thing.
Throw it in the jaw box.
Yeah, it's
Time Crimes.
Time Crimes. It almost got remade by. That's also for the jaw box. It almost got remade, but it got not remade. Didn't happen. Source code Primer. Spanish Prisoner. Love the Spanish Prisoner. David Mamet movie about I like all those movies about conning. And Rashomon. I mean, how can you not say Rashomon, which is a movie about the fallibility of memory and not really knowing what the truth is. It's not really a puzzle movie, and also I'm not that well versed about it, so I couldn't really speak to it, but Akira Kurosawa, classic. And that's another regret I have about my list, is that I don't have a lot of
foreign films.
No, or even older movies. Like my oldest movie is Cloak and Dagger, which is in the 80s. I wish I had some more classics in here.
Sure.
Yeah, none of mine are all that old. Don't feel bad.
And JFK.
Hey, not bad. That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah, right.
One of the greatest mysteries of all time. I mentioned this movie a lot, but The Cube belongs on this list as
It's
an
okay.
honorable.
It's
It's
okay.
not just
I've
okay.
watched it because he's talked about it on here. It's
I've never seen
okay.
it.
Now You See Me? I thought that was kind of...
Actually, the studio that we're in is like the Cube.
It is. Did you guys see Now You See Me? I think that's like up there with the... Not up there with the Prestige, but
No.
similar.
Jesus.
Vanilla Sky.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Oh, it's good. And everything else was mentioned except the number 23. No? Really?
Is that
That's
with...
ridiculous.
Who's in that movie?
That's with Jim Carrey.
It's not bad. Don't listen to this guy.
No,
Don't let him
it's
steer you
awful.
wrong.
It's awful. Don't see it. Don't waste your time. Matt, oh, God. You had
Hey,
to ruin
listen,
it. We
it's an
just had
honorable
a
mention,
great
dude.
top 5. And that's the last movie. Edit that out. Phil, just edit that out.
Listen,
it's that bad.
It's not that bad. You guys,
Throw it in the jaw
you get to
box.
have
I
identity
guarantee-
with John
that's probably
Cusack.
less than
I can have
10%.
23.
Here, how about
23
this?
is less than
It's Jim Carrey.
23% on
What
Rotten
about the
Tomatoes.
Truman-
I'm just taking a stab at that.
What
It's
about
got to
the
be awful.
What about The Truman Show? Does that count?
Yeah, why not?
Kind of.
Or even Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you can make a case for.
Both of them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, wash my mind. That's good. Well done, Sandy. I forgot what Matt had talked about. Awesome. All right, I'm sure we may have missed one of your favorite puzzle movies, and if we did, and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We will retweet it and get the discussion going. What we're going to do is take a quick break, and when we come back, Sandy is taking Matt on in Tom Hanks co-star movie trivia, plus a CinemaWAR looking at Heigl who? We'll be right back on Cinemajaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get our...
Hey, Jawheads, this is Matt Kay with a quick reminder of April's Riddle. I have starred in a famous zombie movie, but not its sequel. I have starred in one film directed by Wes Craven, and it was not the zombie film mentioned. I have been a villain in the Batman movies, and I have starred in 2 films with Red in the title, one of which had Robert De Niro in it. Who am I?
If you think you know the answer to April's riddle, write us feedback at cinemajaw.com. You have until the end of April to get your answer in. We'll put your name in a hat. Good luck.
Hey, Elias, check out my new K&N air filters hat.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Wow, you look like super cool all of a sudden.
Oh, thanks, man. I got it at knnairfilters.com/podcast.
Are you saying KNN, like 2 N's in a row?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Actually, it's knfilters.com/podcast.
Nice.
You can get yourself a new air filter for your car, which is going to make your car better, and they'll throw in a free hat.
Got it.
So that makes your head look better.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with puzzle master himself, Sandy Weisz from Mystery League. And it's really interesting because we were talking to Sandy, and I had sort of jokingly, when I said this...
You weren't joking.
No, I was joking, Matt. I said it would be cool if Sandy came up with a puzzle for us to do.
I'm glad you did, because I had it in my notes to ask, too. So,
But
well done.
I literally was thinking like afterwards, we're going to do this on the weekend. I didn't think he was just going to whip something up here. But while we were doing our top 5, every once in a while, he would take a note off to the side. Sandy, did you literally come up with a puzzle to do?
I mean, if I can say I just came up with it on the fly, but I actually have something that I've been in the archives that I've been holding on to that I haven't really put out there much, that is movie related that I thought would be good for this format.
All
so
right.
if you're ready,
let's play along. You guys want to do this? Elias, you out of the jaw box a little early? All right.
Okay. This can be a little weird, but here's the deal. I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank. Okay, actually 2 blanks one after another. The blank needs to be filled in with the name of an actress. I think these are all working actresses. Looking at the list, of an actress, and it'll complete the sentence in a punny way. So, for example, if I say, the Scottish hiker was happy to find a beautiful blank blank to his hotel, you would say Glen Close, because the Scottish hiker was happy to find a beautiful glen close to his hotel.
All right.
I'll help you along because I'm not going to pretend These are easy or make a lot of sense, but you'll enjoy them. I'm sure when
All right.
when I reveal. Okay, so you ready?
Yeah.
The head chef told the line cook to dice less and blank blank.
I know. Julianne Moore.
You got it.
Wow. Well done, Matthew.
Wow.
All right. Let's see. Whenever he plays the blank, blank clearly is the most talented member of the orchestra. Whenever he plays the blank, blank clearly
Something trumpet?
is the most talented member of the orchestra.
Whenever he plays
All right, I know this one too.
What?
Go.
Whenever he plays the viola, Davis is clearly the.
Come on.
Good work.
This is ridiculous.
Hey,
All
I
right,
know
you
my
ready?
stuff.
I'm getting set up here.
All right. Every blank soda comes up with the year's new flavors.
Every blank soda.
Every blank soda comes up with the year's new flavors.
Every new.
So the person's last name's got to be a popular soda brand, like Fanta.
Where's my ding sound effect? There you go.
There you go.
It's not Fanta though.
Fanta.
Popular soda brand.
RC.
One with really weird flavors.
Mountain Dew.
Schweppes.
Dew.
New flavors that rotate a lot. I mean, they come with new flavors all the time. It's not a huge brand, but you've heard of it, I think.
They come up with.
Or
strange
go with the
flavors.
first name.
Oh, Jones?
January Jones?
Every January,
Nice.
Jones Soda
Hey,
comes out with the
me and
year's new
Elias
flavors.
teamed up for one.
Yeah.
Do the
There you
ding.
go.
Do the ding. There you go. All right. This one's a little tricky. Every paycheck, I put half into a local bank, blank, blank in an offshore account. Every paycheck, I put half into a local bank, blank, blank, an offshore account. You got to be really loose here with the pronunciation.
I was thinking Penelope Cruz.
Think about the syntax of the sentence. Every paycheck, I put half into a local blank, into a local bank.
Phil,
blank,
you got it?
blank, into an offshore account. You got it?
I have a guess.
Go for it.
If we're going
Right. It's not Demi Moore because there's no conjunction between the first part of the sentence and the second part of the sentence. You need a conjunction. Every paycheck, I put half into a local bank.
And half. And
Away.
Hathaway.
And
and Hathaway.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh, that
nailed
was
it
awesome.
myself.
You got it.
Wow, well done, Ryan.
All right. Keep it loose. Said the sports commentator, it'll take a Vikings loss, blank, blank, for Green Bay to make the playoffs. Said the sports commentator, it'll take a Vikings loss, blank, blank, for Green Bay to make the playoffs.
Something win.
Yeah, it's got
Win.
something win.
What's another way to call reference
Victory.
the Green Bay team?
Packers.
Cheeseheads.
What's another way to reference them? Not just Packers. Shorter
The
way.
pack.
Put it together.
And a pack win.
Yes.
It'll take a Vikings
Yes.
loss and a pack win.
And a pack win.
All right.
Wow. Last one. Here
All
we
right,
go.
last one. Here we go. The world traveler liked to blank blank are the nicest of the Scandinavians. This is a little tricky because I start the word for you. The world traveler liked to blank blank are the nicest of the Scandinavians.
Debunk.
That's what popped into my mind, too.
When you say something out loud as a pronouncement, you
Denounce? No. Denote? Oh, Claire Danes.
The world traveler liked to declare Danes are the nicest of the Scandinavians. Well done.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
That was.
God,
Actresses'
how many of
names?
those have you got?
Those are all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one more about going to hell and hunting for
Oh,
Orpheus and Eurydice. Story about going to hell and from the Greek mythology, hell and hunt. But I didn't have the sentence put together yet.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can make a whole game just out of that.
I couldn't
fun.
believe I could come up with that many actresses that worked.
Yeah.
I'm putting worked in, in quotes. Hopefully some of your listeners got them.
Yeah. So again, for the listeners that want to hit you guys up over at Mystery League, best place to do so online is?
You can subscribe to our mailing list for Chicago events at mysteryleague.com. Scroll to the bottom. There's a link there, and you can follow us on Twitter at PZLR.
Do it.
Yeah,
Matt, before we get to trivia, before we get to CinemaWAR, we did throw a few items into the jaw box. And Elias, he's a puzzle master himself.
Well, you had to figure out that lock I put on the jaw box.
There you go. Let's open up that jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
What's in the box?
What's going on, fellas? This is a jam-packed jaw box. This is possibly the most we've ever had. We need to throw that into a different kind of jaw box to look it up. Let's just jump right in here. The runtime of Free Fire is 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Okay. And that's with credits and everything. So you can imagine, like I say, hour and
nice
20
and short.
to action, probably.
What does the CRS mean in the game? That's Consumer Recreation Services.
All right.
Yeah.
I knew it was something goofy.
Cloak and Dagger, when was it released? That was the 10th of August, 1984.
84.
I would have said 82.
Yeah, I thought it was even earlier. I
did
agree.
too.
I thought like 81, 82. Yep.
No, they had the Atari 2600 was out, so that dates it.
2 weeks old at that point.
Thanks for that, Elias.
Oh, well, okay. So if it was you said August of 84?
Yes.
So I was 7, exactly my son's age when he watched it. If I saw it in the theater, yeah. Okay.
Explains a lot.
Who was the boy in Cloak and Dagger? Yes, it was the E.T. boy, Henry Thomas.
Henry Thomas. I can never think of that guy's name. It comes up every
He's
once
got
in a
2
while
first
on the
names.
jaw.
Is it Thomas Henry or Henry Thomas?
His name is Elliot, guys, okay? It's just
puzzle
Nice.
solved.
Let's call it how it is.
Is Enemy streaming? Unfortunately, no.
Bummer.
I'm sure you could rent it
Yeah.
online, though. Let's see. The budget for Primer, I believe, what did you say?
25 grand.
25 grand. It is 7 grand. It was-
What?
Wow.
7,000.
What?
And he made
Yes.
he made a cinematic masterpiece.
And the
7
time
grand.
machine-
Craft
the time
services
machine
doesn't
was-
cost 7,000 for most
For
movies.
real.
Yes, and the next question was, who is directing Episode 9 of Star Wars? It is Colin Trevorrow,
Oh, yeah.
who did Jurassic World.
Yeah. Did he do anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't really know. Yeah, nothing else stood out for me to write down in my notes. Let's see, and Time Crimes, is it on Netflix? No. And yes, it did almost get a remake, but it didn't come to fruition. And the project has moved to DreamWorks with Steven Zillion attached to write and produce, who wrote Schindler's List.
Okay.
So still might happen.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's see. And the last one was, is the movie the number 23 less than 23% on Rotten Tomatoes? Yes, it is. Wow.
I liked it.
told you
Okay,
it
I
was
liked it.
Terrible,
is-
Matt.
8%.
Wow.
That's a good.
Jesus. Talk about
That's a good fact.
eating my words.
Yeah.
8%.
I'm going to do a list of movies with numbers in them that are less percentage-wise
Then the number.
than the number.
That's a
on
good
Rotten
one.
Tomatoes.
Right. And that's all.
Awesome. Some feedback,
We
perhaps?
do have feedback, though. So from a Jawhead Flicker Joe, he said, just caught up with last week's episode. Great one for any social activists. Worth mentioning, though, Ben K is in fact half Indian. I figured that was part of how he got the part to play Gandhi in the first place. Flicker Joe loves splitting hairs. Wink. Looking forward to next week's show. Thank you,
Yeah,
Joe.
that's an important correction because I did say that Ben Kingsley as Gandhi was an example of whitewashing, and it's not true. At least half not true.
Yeah. Flicker Joe, great guy. He'll catch those things, Matt.
I appreciate it.
This is why we have the Jawheads.
Agree.
Elias can't get to everything in the jaw box,
No.
so we have the Jawheads to follow through and correct all your mistakes, Matthew.
Yep. Anything else in there?
That's all.
All right. I did want to give a special shout out to our newest patron on Patreon, Jack Spurko of the Survival Podcast, a fellow podcaster. Thank you for being a patron, and anybody else who wants to get in on the fun, go to patreon.com/CinemaJaw, and you can support the show and get mentioned in all kinds of cool rewards. So thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Elias, get back in that jaw box.
Will do.
Matt, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt, we're bad on a topic. Our guest this week, Sandy, gets to play judge and jury and tell the jawheads at home who he thinks won the CinemaWAR. It's important because we're fighting for 20 seconds of jaw time, plus a best of 5, Matt.
Yeah, it's a fresh start.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
To determine what movie the other will review.
Yeah.
This week,
I think I'm going to make you review the number 23.
This week on Cinemajaw, we realized that Catherine Heigl has a new movie coming out. Elias, tell the jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic, Catherine Heigl has a new film out, Unforgettable. Her career has taken a slide in recent years. Can she recover, or is she down for the count? Matt, you'll be fighting for Catherine Heigl. Will make a comeback. Rye, you'll be fighting for Heigl is down for the count. Let this knocked up CinemaWAR begin.
Matt, you gotta appreciate that the movie is called Unforgettable. Like Catherine herself is crying out, "Don't forget about me." Well, sorry, Catherine. When the last 4 movies you made are Jenny's Wedding, Home Sweet Hell, Jackie and Ryan, and The Big Wedding, it's easy to say, Heigl who?
It's funny that you went there first, Ryan. Just like her new film is titled, so is Catherine Heigl's career. Unforgettable.
Right.
She should get the win for the birth scene in Knocked Up alone.
Plenty of actors and actresses have comebacks throughout their careers, but those people, Matt, are actually talented. Heigl got her lucky break with Grey's Anatomy and Knocked Up. She rode the wave for as long as she could, but now that it has crashed to the shore, she ain't getting back up.
Over, you say. Rosario Dawson and that guy from Seventh Heaven who they got because Dexter's Michael C. Hall was unavailable may say differently. All kidding aside, this Fatal Attraction update looks like it might have some great thrills in it.
Matt, name one role, damn you, where you would say Heigl was great in it outside of Knocked Up, okay? Or better yet, what movie or character was challenging? She was a pretty face that had a little longer than her 15 minutes. Even worse, she said bad things about Knocked Up creators. Saying bad things about Judd and Seth is not too smart, as they are a group that will keep your career going.
Let's be honest here. Catherine is not hard on the eyes. Her stunning beauty is combined with acting chops. Lest we forget Emmy for Grey's Anatomy. Emmy award-winning actress here. The Oscar can't be far away from her.
Shame on you, Emmys. Shame on you. You can only do romantic comedies for so long. Heigl does not bring much more to the plate. I'm sorry. Soon she will stoop down to a reality show where she must solve a puzzle on where her career went. As fun as that sounds...
That's called pandering, by the way.
As fun as that sounds, it will not knock up her career. And that is the ugly truth.
I like what you did there. Aside from her unfortunate last name that sounds like a cat choking on a hairball, spelled Heigl, she's just one vowel short of the LOV of Hollywood. She will continue to get roles because she is a safe and bankable leading lady with a bit of range and a couple of hits to her name. Studio Bates gets paid work. So will she.
We are button heads here on CinemaWAR, as we do each and every week. We throw to our guest, our jury. Sandy, what did you think of this CinemaWAR?
Well, far be it from me to beat up on a talented, award-winning, highly respected, lovely, professional actress who's done a lot more in her career than I've done in mine. And also, I don't think she's that bad of an actress. I've only seen maybe one of her movies, but far be it from me. So if the question is, am I convinced by one of your arguments over the others?
Yes.
Over the other, then I would have to give it to... Well, let me back up and say that Catherine Heigl has sort of defined her own genre. She has become a punchline about movies, genres, romantic movie genres. It's called, like, you can call it a Catherine Heigl-esque movie, and I think people know what you're talking about. So in that sense, she's kind of dug herself into a pigeonhole. Or
has she found her niche?
Right, or has she found her niche? So I think for that reason, because I think she's going to be able to bank on that kind of role playing in the future. I'm going to give it to Matt.
Yes! Holy crap! Wow! You can't win.
Elias, pass me a beer. I mean, this is I'm
Catherine Heigl.
I don't even have words.
Oh my God! I thought for sure I would lose that.
Well, right. I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but I think if I had to make a bet about whether she is going to have a career or going to not, I would go with yes.
Wow.
I agree.
Matt, that earns you a quick 20 seconds. I don't believe it.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to expose the rotten truth here once again on Slack behind the scenes at Cinemajaw. He was like, he came up with the topic of Catherine Heigl, by the way, probably because he figured it was a softball. And then I was like, great, I'll take that she's never going to have a career. And he's like, whoever lost last week gets to pick their side. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take one for the team. He's like, I'm going to argue that she's not going to have a career. And he still lost.
You jackass.
Oh,
well, listen, that's
so
the easy
satisfying.
argument to make. I mean, you wouldn't have to show up, and it would be this. But you made an effort, and
Yes.
I think you deserve credit for it.
And
well, thank you, sir.
For the record, I didn't just pick it because it was a softball.
Yes, you did.
No, why I pick it is I do all this research. I try to get as many new movies that are out there that we can bring up and talk about on the Jaw. You don't even appreciate it, Matt. You didn't know Unforgettable was even out. Be absolutely honest.
Absolutely honest. I saw the trailer in front of whatever the last movie I saw in the theater was, and actually it does. I meant what I said. It looks like it's going to be an okay romantic thriller.
Yeah, all right. That's the reason.
I
why
like Rosario Dawson.
I was just trying to tie more movies into it.
Well,
That's
whatever.
all I do. Yeah.
Hunting for a softball, Sandy.
right.
Don't let him fool you.
All right.
No, it's fine. I just want to see him review the number 23.
Is that
you
it?
gave
Is
me
that your
stakes.
choice?
I should. No,
It's either that or Fireproof that we talked about with.
I don't want to give you a
Cameron.
bad movie. I want to give you a movie I think is good that you've never seen.
Right.
So how does this work? He gets to pick a movie, any movie in history.
Yeah.
I have to win 5 in a row, and I just came off. Oh no,
No,
three out of 5.
Yeah, and he already did that. He did that last week. This was the new set already. So,
Okay, so you have to
you're
come-
slacking. You got to
But
come
you could
up
be
with
any
it.
movie, and he has to review it.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have to review it too?
No,
No.
just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do the winner gets the bell thing.
Nah, whatever. I don't want the bell.
Come on,
He's
Jawheads,
faster with
if
it.
you want
All right.
that
Yeah, well,
for
I mean-
at least one episode right in.
Matt's fat hands on these buzzers here.
I'll be making the fart sound effect the whole time. That's not it.
I know. All right, here we go. It's trivia time, Matt.
Okay.
The Circle is coming out. It stars Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. So we are playing Tom Hanks' co-star movie trivia. It works like this, Sandy. You're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There are steals if the person doesn't know it. And if you get hung up on any question, you get one trip to the ER for Elias Rodriguez. He has clues to all the questions.
Okay. I'll go first.
Question number 1 over to Sandy in Tom Hanks' co-star movie trivia. Tom Hanks starred in Catch Me If You Can. Who co-starred as Frank Abagnale, the young man he was trying to chase in the film?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
1-0. They start off easy. Get everybody comfortable. Question 2 over to Matt K. Matt, Tom Hanks voiced Woody. Who voiced Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story?
Tim Allen.
1-1. Softballs are over. Here we go.
Okay.
Sandy, question 3 over to you. In 2013, Tom Hanks played Walt Disney. What actress played P.L. Travers, the writer of Mary Poppins?
Emma Thompson.
Answered it very quick, Matt.
Yeah.
You would have paused and hemmed and hawed. And
I
then
would have got
said,
that one wrong.
Natalie Portman.
Wasn't it? I thought it was a.
No, well, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
He
whatever. I
answered it
had the
correctly.
wrong answer in my head.
2-1. Question 4 over to Matt. You can tie it up right here. In 1987, Tom Hanks starred in the big screen adaptation of Dragnet. Who starred as Sergeant Joe Friday?
That was Dan Aykroyd.
2-2. Everybody perfect. You know what? You know what's tricky to do with Tom Hanks is come up with questions that people don't know. His movies are so renowned. So
Yeah, for sure.
hopefully I got some tricky ones coming up here. 2-2. Question 5 over to Sandy. In 2011, Tom Hanks played the title character Larry Crown, who goes back to college and falls in love with his professor. Which actress co-starred as his professor?
Julia Roberts.
It's another one.
That is correct.
Horseface.
Yeah.
I would not have known that one either.
I know.
I almost didn't know it. I pulled that out.
Well done.
3-2. Question 6 over to Matt. Everybody perfect. Matt, in 2004, Tom Hanks plays a guy stuck in an airport in the terminal. Which actress played Amelia, a flight attendant Hanks falls in love with?
This is a famous blind spot for me. I've gotten terminal questions wrong time and time again in the trivia segment, so I'm going to take a trip to the ER.
Whoa, a trip
When
to
do
the
I get to
ER.
steal this?
Elias Rodriguez.
If I get it wrong after the clue, it's all yours.
Question number 6. Who starred with Tom Hanks in the terminal?
Your clue is won Oscar for the movie Chicago.
Won an Oscar for the movie Chicago. Was that, what's her name? God, I never saw Chicago. Was that Catherine Zeta-Jones? Wow.
Wow. Matthew pulls it out of his... Unbelievable.
Unforgettable.
3-3. Last 2 questions of the game. Here we go. Question 7 over to Sandy. Sandy, back in 1986, Hanks starred in The Money Pit, in which he and this actress buy
Meg
a
Ryan.
house that is literally falling apart. Name his co-star in The Money Pit.
Meg Ryan.
That is incorrect. Wow.
Oh, I'm thinking of...
Well, now Matt gets a chance for to steal and to blow this thing
Wait,
wide
don't
open.
I'll let you answer it. I just want to get it in my head first. Shoot, I know the answer. You know it?
Yeah.
86, Tom Hanks.
I
and
can't just
who?
say Diane from Cheers. I have to come up with her real name.
That is it.
It's
Can I steal it back?
I might get it wrong here. I can't think of her actual name. It's Oh man.
Wow.
I know.
I don't want to say the movie.
You never know with Matt. You just never know with him.
Sybil.
Nope.
It's not.
Just say, sorry. Yeah, it's Sybil, all right.
Yeah.
You got it. You nailed it.
What? No, I was gonna say Sybil Shepherd. Is that no? Wait, that's not her.
Moonlighting.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. That is Moonlighting.
He already used his lifeline, or else this would have been a gimme. But Matt, we need an answer here.
It starts with an S. I'm gonna say Shelley Long. Is that it?
Wow. Are you just stringing me along?
No, I really had. It was a total brain
Give
fart.
him a hard one.
All right, Matt takes the lead here, 4-3. Okay, you can win it with a walk-off because question 8 is over to you. If you miss it, Sandy gets a chance at a steal and to tie the game. Here we are. Last question.
Just to set the stage.
Yes, Matt. Just last year, Tom Hanks starred in Sully. Who was his co-pilot in the film?
Just last year. Was it Ethan Hawke? I really have no idea.
No.
Did you want it to be Ethan Hawke?
Of course. Who didn't want it to be Ethan Hawke? Especially Ethan Hawke.
You do have a lifeline if you need it.
I need a lifeline.
Whoa! Another trip to the ER.
Okay, go
Question 8. Who starred as his co-pilot in Sully?
This clue is two-faced.
Oh, Harvey Dent. Aaron. Not Paul. Oh, really? I would never have gotten this, by the way. Now you're just asking me to name the actor who played Two-Face, and his first name is Aaron. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Give him half a bell.
Yeah. I wish I could.
Eckhart.
Wow, he got it. Nice.
Ties it up.
Well
that was
done.
awesome.
Do you have a tiebreaker?
Yeah, we do have a tiebreaker,
All right.
as we do. This question is over, actually, to Sandy.
Okay.
The tiebreaker for the win, Sandy. Better Tom Hanks partner, Rita Wilson or Wilson in Castaway?
Oh, I don't want to be mean to Rita Wilson, but that is a good question. So my answer is Rita Wilson.
Incorrect. It was Wilson. It was Wilson.
That's not nice.
He never talks back to Hanks, you know? All right, here's the real jawbreaker. Let's be serious here. It's tied. Real jawbreaker is this. Age of the tool man himself, Tim Allen, closest to.
Wait, Tim
Allen.
Age of Tim Allen?
Yep.
Okay,
Matt,
hold on.
Matt, you got to. Matt goes first, closest to.
Okay. So is this in real years or cocaine years?
Ooh. Rita Wilson.
Because I would say he's like 173. He's in his early 60s. I'll say 63.
Lock him in at 63. Sandy, do you got to guess?
What are the rules about? Is it just like closest?
Yeah.
So if I think he's under, I say 62. If I think he's over, I say 64. That's really it, right? You said 63?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2017. He's making Home Improvement in the 90s. His 40s. So I'm going to say 64.
Sandy's at 64. Matt's at 63. He's 63 years old.
Oh! I couldn't win.
Wow. Well done. 63. Son of a gun.
Wow.
That's impressive.
It's just my day, I guess. Well done,
Handshake.
though. Well done.
Handshake. That was awesome. That's
Yeah.
a game of trivia. Woo.
That
This
was
fun.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Well, and he was in so many films with Meg Ryan.
I know, but
Right.
that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. The Money Pit. It threw you off.
And I'd seen that lots of times. I know Shelley Long. Everyone knows Shelley Long.
Yeah.
I
Where is
couldn't
she
remember
gone?
her name.
I want more Shelley Long.
Yeah, I want to see a cinema war about Shelley Long.
Shelley
There you
Long
go.
would be a good one for your pun game, by the way.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll add it. Well, I did say working actresses. It's a little hard to pull Shelley Long out of there. I'm not trying to be me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, people
You know.
people don't think of Shelley Long.
I mean,
unless you're
you say
talking
name an actress, last name Long. They're gonna think about it for a while
Right.
and stop.
Thinking about it for a long time.
Long time. Oh man, it brings us to the end of a great jaw. This was
Indeed.
a blast.
Yes, yeah. for
First
sure.
and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Sandy. This was a lot of fun because I love puzzles. Thanks for coming on Cinemajaw. Nice meeting you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. This was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Matt. We also got to thank our sponsors.
Yes, thanks to all the sponsors and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get those sponsors.
Yeah. Also want to thank 824 Studios and Ben Wheatley for that interview about Free Fire. That
So
was awesome.
cool. Yeah, for
really
sure.
neat. And we got to thank the best engineer in the biz, Elias Rodriguez.
Thanks, guys. I just looked it up. Shelley Long is still working, but mostly in TV. Also, Jawheads, it's festival season. I am going to be in Milledgeville, Georgia for the Milledgeville Film Festival, and also in Twister at the Twister Alley Film Festival, both in one weekend in Oklahoma.
Maybe you'll meet Elias Rodriguez out
catch
there.
me
Yeah,
there.
go
I like
visit
it.
him.
Yeah. Each week we've been posting our full episodes on our YouTube channel. So in case you have no way of listening at work or wherever you're at, you can catch all our work on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's /Cinemajaw there too.
Yeah, so subscribe to us there and subscribe to our newsletter. You can do it on the front page of Cinemajaw. There's a little subscribe button.
Yeah, you know it's even easier. Go to our Facebook page. There's a little button that says sign up. Boom. Do
Nice
it there.
and easy.
Yeah.
Like it. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt K, and keep on jawing about the movies.